Oh, that's actually a semi over.
Buttons do 4 things. Each one.
Yes, John?
Hello, Chris.
Is this a video?
Yes.
Oh, dang.
This is an update video. We haven't done one in a while.
That's true. We went from like studs to like almost done.
Yeah. So.
Yeah? Oh, I see on some like
All right, so here we are today, and Chris has gotten as far as, now keep in mind, he's learning this as he goes.
Yeah.
And so that and helping YouTube videos, and this time a friend has provided some gear for us, but we're still learning. We've got all the sheetrock, or he's gotten all the sheetrock up. Electrical's been done for a while. Windows are all taped off. He's done all the texturing, not texturing, but the taping and mud and taping and sanding.
Yep.
And so we are to the point, we are learning how to texture today. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's take a look at what he's got done. There it is. Now, as I mentioned before, the floor does slope down, and you can kind of see that. The porch, not to mention it's very, very old, so I'm sure there was some settling, but there really wasn't much. Most of it is that it was designed to slope so the water would run away from the house. So you can see that the floor slopes down. Now we're gonna have Austin Concrete come in, and they are going to level this floor. They said you should get all the sheetrock and everything done, and then they're gonna come in and level this floor with stamped concrete. So that's what we're gonna do. Now what we had to do here on the door is the roof line, this part was level. The roof line was level all the way across for the most part. I mean, there was some settling, but for the most part, the roof line was level. It was just the concrete floor that slopes down. Again, that was so that rainwater can run away from the house, because this used to be an open porch. With that being said, the door here is about 1.5 inches or so lower than the entrance there. So what they're going to do is they're going to level out all the big areas and make that level. And then right here in this area, they're going to feather it and put a slope. This way that the door, because when the door opens, it's only got like 3/4 inch clearance when it's open compared to the clearance it has here, which is about 1 inch. Actually, it's got about 1/2 inch, but they only need 1/4 inch clearance for the dyeing. So they're going to just put a thin layer here, and they're going to slope it in. We'll see how that looks. Yeah, Chris, let's see what it takes to texture today. You ready?
We're gonna find out.
We're gonna see if we can screw it all up.
We're gonna see how easy or how hard it is.
So to get started, we just did a couple test patterns on some scrap sheetrock. And the friend of ours that loaned us the gear, he said usually let it sit about 15 minutes or so before you'd actually knock it down. So we're trying to figure out that part. We tried basically, testing distance and patterns and stuff like that. It looks like it's going to be, the spraying part looks like it's going to be pretty easy. So what this was clearly, he had originally went like this, and that was wrong. You'll notice where he fudged it up. And so the friend mentioned if you go in a circular pattern, it'll be better. And so that's what we did here. Now there's a few parts where it's a little thick, and we're hoping knockdown will take that down. We're gonna see how that looks. It looks a little rough right now. But anyway, circular patterning definitely worked. Now right now he is holding it about 6 inches to 8 inches away. So we're gonna let this dry a little bit, and then we're gonna come down and see how it knocks down. So you'll notice you can see some of the sheetrock behind the actual texture. And it looks like that we were putting on way, way too thick. So we're standing back now about, what, 2 feet is what I was about?
Yeah.
2 feet, about 2 feet away. And spraying in circles seems to work really good. So we're gonna make sure we're straight and circles. We're gonna let this dry a little bit and attempt to knock down here. The other side that we had done is still not even close to being dry because it was too thick.
Yeah, let's show them what not to do.
Yeah, so this is what we did initially, and you might be able to see a little more, but you see how now that we just tested this, it's still completely wet, but he was close, and that was just way too much. I mean, there is texture, but it's just way too much mud. So we were way too close.
If you're not seeing drywall board behind the mud,
It's probably too much.
It's too thick.
Just
then
stand
come back to
away.
this side.
Yeah, just stand away.
So you can see the board, and there's just
You can see
dots
the
on
brown of the board. Not only will it make your supply go a lot further, but it'll dry faster so you can do your knockdown.
and it'll look good.
And I think it'll look much better. So we're gonna attempt knocking this down. What time is it now?
It is. Phone is in my pocket. 14:31.
So it's been 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So this was sprayed about 10 minutes ago. It's still not ready to try the knockdown on.
I'm gonna test it.
But the other side is,
It is starting to dry.
it is starting to dry.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna attempt this right now actually and just see how it does.
This might be too
Now you're
soon.
holding the blade the right way, right? So that it's the right angle, right shape,
Yes.
right bend? Okay. It might be too soon, but we're just seeing.
It's a little too soon because you see how there's some big spots.
On the blade this guy he gave us, it is interesting that it's got, okay, so this would be the top. You probably can't see this in the camera at all.
It's extremely subtle. I have a hard time seeing it with the naked eye.
Basically, the left and right side are bent up from this
And
picture.
these are up and this is down. It's got kind of a very subtle U shape. Almost goes up like this, but it's so subtle you can't see it.
Yeah, and that way when you're going across here, you don't put lines in
If you didn't have the right blade as you're going down,
it's going to put lines.
there would be lines here. And
Yeah.
then so when you move the blade over, there would be another line and it wouldn't look good.
So that's another thing we're learning here. So we'll come back in a little bit when it's a little more dry and attempt to knock down on the other side. All right, I know you can't really see this on the camera, but we did the center part here. This has been about 15 minutes and we knocked it down and it looks really, really good. Again, you're gonna have to just take our word for us because I know you can't see this in the camera. But I'm thinking maybe about 20 minutes would be perfect for the look I'm wanting to go with. All right, so we're gonna start way over there and we're gonna work our way through the roof here. And we're hoping that in 20 minutes we'll at least be done with spraying the top of the ceiling. And as long as we're done spraying all that within 20 minutes, we should be ready to start the knockdown part. And we're gonna get all that done now. All right, Chris?
Yeah,
All right, let's go for it.
let's do it.
Remember, be about 2 feet away. That looks good. Well, I think that looks good. For your first time, yeah. You want me to move you back? So I went ahead and sprayed the walls while he was doing the knockdown on the ceiling. There were some areas where it was still a little wet because I ended up going too thick because I hadn't sprayed any yet. So we got some areas that are going to be a little flat, but once it dries, we'll just spray it a little bit more with texture and knock it down again, where mine just had too much to begin with, just to give it a little bit of that bumpiness back. But to be honest, the cool part about this is for the most part, being irregular is the look. So it's proving to be very, very forgiving. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I would.
All right. And so he's just getting some of the knockdown up there. That's just overspray from when I did the wall that got over the ceiling. You definitely, where we screwed up is we should have finished the ceiling and let it be dry before doing the walls. But it's still not gonna really show, it's gonna be fine, but I think it would've been easier to do that because what happened was we had overspray onto the ceiling that needed to be knocked down, but we couldn't quite knock it down. We still hadn't finished knocking down the ceiling.
It was 2 different layers drying at 2 different intervals, overlapped.
Thank you, that's what I'm trying to say. So probably should have finished the ceiling and knocked down and everything on the ceiling before spraying the walls.
We good?
Yep.
Awesome.
I'll let you finish cleaning up. Good job for your first time. What time is it?
6:38.
So we started at 2. So we'll just say by the time from start to cleanup, finish the cleanup and start, 5 hours total. So there you go, guys. 5 hours to do the whole thing for our first time, not knowing what we're doing. So texture work is actually pretty easy, right, Chris?
Sure. It was fun. I won't say easy, but it's fun.
All right.
And it's
All right. So what we're doing now, Chris has got it all textured. It looks really good. You can see a little bit of a screw up some places, but for the most part, I think for his first texture job, it looks pretty good. Tape and texture and all that, I think it looks real good. And so what we're doing now is a little technique I learned, which doesn't seem to be very well known about, and that's how to make nice straight paint lines without having to be good at painting. So what you do is once you get your caulk around your windows and everything, and once you've painted your ceiling, we went a flat white for the ceiling, is you mask off your line all the way around, obviously. But as you know, anybody that uses paint, especially on a textured wall, paint can bleed underneath. And so that's why some people don't mess with the masking, because then the paint still bleeds underneath and it doesn't look good. So if they've got a real steady hand, they end up just precisely running with a brush and trying to do that. And I'm sure you've seen all those commercials with all the special paint trimming tools and all that garbage, and I've used them all and they're all crap and they don't work. So what you do is you put your tape up and then you take some paintable caulk. And you want that paintable caulk to be close to the same color from everything that's behind it. So in other words, it's white, it's a white ceiling, so I'm gonna go with white paintable caulk. If it was gray, if it was a gray ceiling, I would have gone with a gray paintable caulk. Just something that's close to it. It doesn't have to be exact, because you're not gonna really get bleed through with the paintable caulk underneath the tape. So we're gonna put caulk all along this tape line. And you won't be able to really see it because we are going with white caulk. But we're gonna follow that tape line all the way across. And then all he does is paint with a brush. He doesn't have to be precise about it at all. And the caulk will prevent paint from bleeding underneath the tape. When it's all done, you just pull the tape off and it'll cut the caulk line just like a knife, and you will have a perfectly straight line. No bleeding underneath the tape or anything. So we just put the caulk all the way down, just like so. And we just caulk between the right over the tape. Now we just painted this, and once it all dries, we will just pull the tape off and we should have a perfect line. All right, so now we've got everything painted. We're gonna start pulling the tape off. As you can see, it is a perfect line. Just pull it at an angle towards. It cuts the caulk, makes a perfect line. No bleeding underneath the tape, all the way up. Perfect. Perfect line. All right, there we go. All the painting is finished. Now all we have to do is get our window covering and get our lights in and our floor in and our trim. Those are the remaining items. So sometime next week, Austin Concrete will be in to do the floor, and Chris is gonna do the lights today. We still have to get a ceiling fan for this, but yeah, there it is. All done. Still have to paint the door. It's been a very long project, but hopefully really soon, Rob will be able to get her stuff in here and she'll have this as a nice little craft room. So that's the plan.